Hαίrε, and welcome. Today we are starting off our second large section of John chapter 2. Today we're going to be looking through verse 13, and I believe since it's about halfway through the page, into 14. Let's go ahead and get started. This is our Greek rubric, everything that we want to look for as we go through a text. Put that over here in the corner where there's actually space, unlike at the bottom of the screen. And very first thing we want to do, of course, is find our verb. Kai doesn't work, that's a coordinating conjunction. Angus, or however, engus, hard to say word, is also not a verb. And here we have ein. Ein is going to be our third person. It is singular. It is imperfect tense from eimi. It is active and indicative. It means he was or it was. We want to double check to make sure it's one of our verbs in here is not in fact our subject, or is in fact our subject. So we take a look ahead. Of course, Kai, as I already said, it's a conjunction, so that doesn't work. Engus does work as our subject, because upsilon sigma there is a nominative form of, I think this is a third declension adjective. So engus, engeia, engu, I would presume it's that type of adjective. Moving on, we have to pasca, to from hohe to. Wrong direction. That is definitely a nominative form, but it could also be an accusative form. Since ein doesn't want a direct object, to pasca actually fits perfectly as our subject, or engus as our subject connected to that. But since this is the noun and that's an adjective, this makes more sense. So nominative, singular, neuter, which would then also make this one curious. I must be wrong about the type of adjective it is, because I would expect there not to be a sigma. So there's that. But this should be the exact same form. Form. There we go. This means near was the Passover. Ton Judaion, this one from hohe to tells us genitive plural. And of course, masculine, of the Jews. And there is our first clause. Then go ahead and move forward. Kai, coordinating conjunction, so and again. On be, this one I think we talked about in the end of the very last paragraph is, or maybe it was verse 10. Now I can't remember. Going into Capernaum, that might be verse 11. But anyway, this is a frustrating verb at first blush. You have to memorize it in order to actually know what it's doing. In this case, this eta here is going to be the third person singular. It's aorist from bino, besomai, ebain, and then it would be ebase, ebe. Active and indicative, and this means to go up. I want to take a look ahead. Ho Jesus, got our nominative, singular. The Jesus as our subject. And Jesus went up or ascended. Eis Jerusalema, into Jerusalem. Jerusalem doesn't decline, but we know that eis takes accusative. We know what function is going on here. It's motion towards place to which. And that ends our very first verse, so let's go ahead and take a look at it in its own context before moving on to 14. And the Passover was near, the Passover of the Jews. And the Jesus went up or ascended into Jerusalem. Makes sense. And what else this tells us, based on our knowledge of the previous paragraph, since he was in Capernaum, then we know that Capernaum is at a lower level from Jerusalem, because Jerusalem, if you recall, is built up on a mountain, so of course he would have to climb up to get to it. Moving on to 14, Kai, coordinating conjunction, and heuren, epsilon nu is our ending right there, and this comes from heurisco, heureso, heuron, on sn, so third person singular aorist. Active, indicative. Looking for subject. No, nothing at first plants appears to be our subject, so O Jesus still fits as that. And he found, we want to have a direct object found, and toi hieroi, and hieroi, that doesn't work because it's a prepositional phrase. I'm going to go ahead and block those off. Tous is a different case from those. The prepositional phrase ends right there. Poluntos, that has what looks like an accusative ending. And tous from hoheto is definitely accusative. So this also looks like an adjective, so we want to find the noun to go with it, which we have right there with boas. As is, of course, our accusative plural ending. But for this word, the gender is completely uncertain if it weren't for that. However, based on the meaning of that and me misreading what it may have been, I could be wrong. It's going to turn out that I was wrong, sorry. This thing, can't really tell the gender. I took a look at the BDAG, and it doesn't list a gender for this noun. Thanks a lot. And then I looked it up on Perseus, and Perseus lists masculine or feminine. Yay! So we don't know. Masculine/feminine. Could be either. I think if you were to go and take a look at the laws regarding sacrifice, it would specify male, probably. I don't remember. Something worth looking into. Anyway, whichever one that is, doesn't matter. As I said, I was wrong about this initially. It's not an adjective. What this actually is it's a participle, but it's standing alone. It's not modifying this because this is active. This new tau right there tells us it's active. If it had been mu epsilon nu, then we know that it could be modifying this as a passive. This thing here makes this entire thing substantive, so stand in as a noun. But enough of that. Parsing it. Keep forgetting you don't need these. Accusative, plural, masculine, and this is off of the present stem. Active, as I already said, and it's a participle. You found those, and this would be selling or offering for sale. Which would then make boas the object of this, rather than the object of heuren. And this is cattle. Before we move on to that kind and everything after that, let's go ahead and finish up with this prepositional phrase right here. In is, of course, this time taking dative and singular, and I believe hieron is neuter in the temple, and definitely would have had to climb no period there, pretty high up to get to there. If you ever take a look at that scale model of the temple that the guy made, it was either in Nebraska or somewhere in that region. Yeah, there's a lot of stairs to get to there. That's kind of frightening. All right, we can move on now. And probata, alpha right there tells us that this neuter noun is going to be either nominative or accusative plural. Looking ahead, I don't see any verbs that could fit with it. Besides, it might be connecting boas with probata. So I don't see any specific new verbs right there. So accusative makes more sense. Plural, neuter, sheep. Chi, since this was connected to that, it's likely that this also. Alpha sigma right there, that looks like an accusative plural ending. And this is a feminine, so that works. And it means doves or pigeons, which are ultimately the same type of creature. It's just one looks pretty, the other one sometimes. Kai and tous kermatistas katheimenos. I forgot to read the Greek, didn't I? I'll have to do that in a minute. Tous, of course, tells us that this right here is accusative, and menus tells us that this is also accusative, but what we want to know is what goes with what. So the meanings, before we actually figure that out, other than parsing them. Accusative, plural, masculine. This is a noun, and this is also accusative, plural, us, masculine, and it is present. It is from kathemai, so it's a deponent, and it is a participle. So it's a participle, it makes sense for it to be modifying this, but first, the meaning. This stands for money changers, and this stands for sitting. So, and the money changers sitting. So yeah, that works. And there we have it. We can go ahead and take a look at it its own context. And then there's a couple things that I need to talk about before I read the Greek like I failed to do. And the Passover of the Jews was near, and the Jesus went up into, or ascended into, Jerusalem. And he found in the temple those selling cattle and sheep and doves, and, we would repeat, Heuren, the money changers sitting. Okay, now that we've done that, the thing that I need to talk about. We've got here those selling and those money changing. Those selling, I don't actually care about. It's this one, and something that we're going to see lower on down here. Kermatistas, that actually comes from the word. Here, I'll write it over here. Kerma. And kerma is the Greek word for coin or change. And that will come in handy when we take a look at this last section right there. All right, now to actually read it through the Greek. Sorry. Kai engus ein topaska ton judaion kai anabe eis erosuluma ho Jesus. Kai heuren en toi hieroi tus poluntas boas kai probata kai peristeras kai tus kermatistas kathemenus. And there we have it. All of my mistakes on one page. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope taking a look at this has been useful for you, and I hope you come back to find out what this has to do with verse 15. Have a good day, and Hαίrε.
Hey, not asleep yet? That's okay. I've got tons of other videos that are equally sleep-inducing. Check them out. Alternatively, you could take a look at this video over here.